All right, 6:35 can't get here fast enough tonight. Man, it has been not fun. Not fun. Lost four straight ever since that eighth inning on Friday night against the Astros, where we scored 7 runs. The offense has just been in a big slump. Um, it's hard to find any positives really over the past few days. It's just we're not taking great at bats. And yesterday was really frustrating because I felt like when Santander threw out that guy at home plate, which is such a great throw, great tag by McCann. It's 2-2. Now we got the momentum, but we just couldn't get any guys on base to get that situational hitting, to get the one run in. And then Ramirez hits a bomb off Povich, and that was it. We just could not get going. And Kevin Brown mentioned it in the broadcast yesterday. The Guardians didn't throw their two best relievers at us yesterday, so it was a very, very frustrating game that we couldn't get that third run against BB, the starter, and then we just couldn't get anything against their bullpen. Just not fun at all. Yeah, and I don't want to talk about it too much because it happens. It's a long season, but man, we haven't had these kinds of losing streaks the past couple of years. So, somewhat uncharted territory. They got to find a way to win this game tonight. Irvin's pitching, so we'll see how that looks. A lot of lefties in the lineup for the Guardians, as we saw yesterday. So hopefully that'll favor Irvin tonight. And the thing I want to talk about, for a few minutes is what the heck are the Orioles going to do? Because they brought up Kjerstad. He rips the ball yesterday. I'm the biggest Kjerstad fan you can find. Love Kjerstad. He did exactly what I expected him to do yesterday, which is like, all right, I'm not taking a bunch of pitches. I don't know when I'm going to play. As soon as I see the ball, if it's a strike, I'm smacking it. So he gets 2 hits, and then has the best at bat of the night last night, taking 13 pitches, just could not find a way to get the ball down and ends up flying out the center. But he plays great. So I think he validated, hey, this is why I'm supposed to be here. He's graduated from AAA. But tonight is the first night where the Orioles really have to decide what to do because they have some options, but and I'm gonna get into it. So McCann caught yesterday. So lefty's pitching for the Guardians. McCann caught yesterday. That means he's not going to catch today. Typically, over the past few weeks, it's been easy when we have the left-hander facing a lefty, to kind of match that up with when McCann catches, and then have Adley DH, and then you don't have to make too many decisions. But because McCann caught yesterday, he will not play today. And as I'm going through the lineup, I'm like, they have to make a tough decision here because they didn't just bring up Kjerstad to play against righties. I really don't believe that. But and I'll walk you guys through the dilemma for Hyde because it's either Mullins, Cowser, or Mateo in center field, unless you're going to put Hayes in center field. So here's what we got. In the infield, you have Mountcastle at first, and Mateo does much better against lefties. So I imagine Mateo as opposed to Arias. So I got Mountcastle at first, Mateo at second, Gunnar at short, Westberg at third. Great. And O'Hearn won't play. It's against the lefty. So as you go through it, you're like, all right, I got Adley at catcher. I got 3 outfield spots and I got a DH spot. What am I going to do here? And as you go through all the guys on the roster, you're like, all right, well, I'll put Santander in there. Whether it's right field or DH, that's fine. And then I want to put Hayes in there because I got the lefty. That's why he's still on the roster. Hayes rips the left-handed pitchers, but it's like, all right, now I can put Mullins in center field against the lefty, or I can put Cowser in center field. I could put Hayes in center field. I don't think they'll do that. So if they go with Cowser or Mullins in center field, then let's just say for sake of argument they go with Mullins in center field. Now you're back to the dilemma of Cowser or Kjerstad against the left-hander. Cowser's had his fair share of at bats against left-handed pitching. Kjerstad has not. If they wanted to, they could. I mean, if they don't want to play Mullins in center, they could try out Mateo in center field, and then that leaves them 2 extra spots. I don't think they want to do that. I think Mullins will just play center field, and I think it's getting to the point where it doesn't really matter what the pitching matchup is. Mullins is going to play almost every single day because of how great he is in center field. But the only other person, I just don't think Hayes has the range to play center. I don't think they want him to play. I think that would be like a desperation move. And they haven't let Mateo do it. So what my instincts are telling me based on everything that's happening is Mullins will get that center field spot, and it looks like Cowser and Kjerstad are going to battle it out for at bats. Maybe they take a couple at bats away from O'Hearn at the DH spot, but again, yesterday he rips another one. I don't think they want to do that. I think they want Kjerstad and Cowser to battle it out in the outfield, and that's why I said a couple of weeks ago when Stowers was on the team, instead of having that, dynamic of Cowser or Stowers, now it's Cowser or Kjerstad, Cowser or Kjerstad. I thought the best thing to do was to send Cowser down and just give those at bats to Stowers slash Kjerstad. They decided not to do that. And now they got to make a decision on every single day. And Hyde mentioned it yesterday. It's like, all right, we don't have a lot of off days. It's not a secret, right? A lot of these guys, if not, I mean, not 29 other teams, but 20 to 25 other teams. And that includes Stowers. Like our outfield depth is fantastic. So it sounds like Hyde wants to do and Elias wants to do is treat the next, month or so as we get closer to the deadline as everybody gets a shot as like a glorified tryout. We'll see what sticks and what doesn't. I understand it, but I really like the idea of the consistency. And I don't think it's great for Kjerstad to show up every single day, or Cowser or Stowers, and not know if they're going to play. Hayes, I felt like he deserves it, meaning he just hasn't been playing great. So he knows he's not going to play unless the left-hander's pitching. And having those roles defined, it's a long season, and the unpredictability of where I'm batting and where I'm playing or am I playing today can kind of wear on them. I don't know if that's exactly what's happened these past 4 games. It is a small sample size, but I'll be curious as I watch the next few weeks because decisions have to be made. We're not going to go into August and September and say, all right, well, today you get to play. Today you get to play. That's just not how baseball works. You want to have defined roles. Arias's role is defined. It makes it super easy. We know that he's a utility guy to play 3 times a week. Boom, defensive replacement. Great, no problems. Hayes's role seems to be, solidified. Whether or not he's thrilled about it, I don't know. But he's going to bat against left-handed. That's when he'll start. He'll get to pinch hit against some left-handers. But at this point, we have too many good left-handed outfielders for him to get at bats unless he goes on a wild streak to be able to get those starts. So Hayes' spot solidified. I've mentioned this now for a month. Mullins isn't going anywhere. At the worst, he is the fourth defensive outfielder where he comes in the seventh, eighth, ninth inning. But he's been hitting the ball a lot better. So his spot's defined. He's not going anywhere. Santander's not going anywhere. Santander, Mountcastle, and O'Hearn, there's no movement. All 3 of those guys will be there. All 3 of them will get plenty of at bats. It's coming down to, if we don't want to bring Jackson into the conversation right this second, it's really just about that left field spot against right-handed starting pitching. Is it Cowser? Is it Stowers? Is it Kjerstad? It's definitely not Stowers tonight as he's down there in Norfolk, hits a grand slam, of course. He's got to be frustrated. I think him being sent down means he gets moved. I don't see a reason to bring him back up. He showed he could hit major league pitching. His numbers are good enough that we should be able to get a solid piece for him. So I'm imagining that's what's going through Elias's mind. Unless there's an injury, I think Stowers gets moved here for some pitching help, and I think they're going to let Kjerstad get the at bats. I think tonight Mullins will play center, Hayes will play left, Santander will play right, and I think they're going to let Kjerstad be the DH. I mean, they don't have a ton of options, right? Like it's going to be a lefty to DH tonight, unless they're going to let McCann do it, but I doubt it. So if you put Hayes in left and you stick Mullins in center, you got Santander in right, and then you look at the bench. They're definitely not going to use, Arias as the designated hitter. So you scratch him off. And they're not going to use McCann, as I just mentioned. So you scratch him off and you run out of options, right? You sit there and you're like, well, somebody's got to play left field or somebody's got to DH. And I think you let Hayes in left. And I think Kjerstad gets the bat against left-handed starting pitching. We're not going to find out if Kjerstad's as good as Gunnar unless he gets those opportunities. I feel like his potential as far as swinging the bat is on par with Gunnar. I mean, he swings the bat so it's an effortless swing. He's willing to go the other way. looked like he put on some speed the way he was hustling in the second base yesterday on that first hit. So yeah, when I go through the lineup tonight, I'm like, you look at the bench and you automatically have O'Hearn on the bench, McCann on the bench, and Arias on the bench. You got to put one more guy on the bench. Betting money says Mullins plays center, Hayes plays left, Santander plays right, and I think it's just Kjerstad gets the start. Cowser has had plenty of opportunities. I like Cowser. This is not, I don't like him as a person. It's just the production. And if he didn't hit the home run against Wheeler, I'm not 100% sure he wouldn't have been sent down. So I think Kjerstad will get the start, the DH spot. Be curious to see how it plays out. But that's the main thing going on in my mind right now with the Orioles. When watching it on a daily basis, it's not really evaluating the starting pitching and the bullpen because I know they're not going to make a move for another 5 weeks anyway. So when I see all the people, and it's okay, we all need to come up with content and they want to break down this starter or is this guy going to be available? It's just a little early for me. A lot can happen, and I want to see exactly what pitchers become available. And then I want to see exactly what Kramer and Suarez do in their next few starts. I'm not ready to be completely done with Suarez. I think he's earned the right to have at least one more start. And Hyde mentioned that Kramer is going to be, is going to make another rehab start. So Suarez will definitely get one more crack at it, and it'll be against the Rangers over the weekend. So it won't be easy. But man, I guess that's about it for me today. I think I'm very excited that Kjerstad's back. I'm super happy about that. It's just hard to be in a good mood losing four straight. And my bets have dwindled a little bit. So it's, floating about 10 games over 500 is not really where I want to be at all. Had a nice run in there a few weeks ago where I was closer to 56%. So we'll get back on it and it'd be helpful if the Orioles bats because it's hard for me to get away from that over 3.5 or over 4.5 runs, especially man, after they smashed against the Yankees. So I've been eating it the past couple of days, but looking forward to tonight. Looking forward to the energy. Cole Irvin always brings good energy. So let's get back on track. Definitely don't want to do a podcast tomorrow without the win tonight. So let's get back on it, and that'll be that. Hope everybody has a great day. Hockey game was awesome yesterday. I can't really talk about it because I don't know all the players. I'll pronounce them all the wrong way, but I watched about 80% of that game. So that Orioles game was just dying. So I'm flipping. I actually really watched the Orioles bats yesterday and was kind of skimming through it while they were pitching, just waiting for us to get back at the plate. But watching the hockey and the intensity, so much better than watching whatever that NBA series was. So that was fun. And if you bet on it, hopefully you made some money. Hopefully you're making some money, whatever you're betting on. Again, any questions, comments, anything, just send me a text or an email. And that's that. I'll be back here tomorrow. Let's get the win tonight. I got a good feeling Irvin will lead us. Just got to find a way to get a couple bats on some balls here and get some runs. So, all right, guys, thank you as always, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.